Today's lesson is called The Signalman. Hello everyone, my name is Jeff.
My name is Roger, and today we're going to be talking about a story that was written many years ago called The Signalman. Okay, that's a story that was written by Charles Dickens and was published way back in 1866. And it's a kind of a ghost story, kind of a weird kind of story that I think a lot of you might relate to because, indeed, there are lots of railways in Taiwan, and sometimes the trains go through tunnels and stuff like that. So, yeah, maybe there are similar stories here in Taiwan to The Signalman.
Yeah, I imagine if you're on a train, it's going to be very loud. You might be moving very quickly. So if you're going to have to communicate something, you might need to, use signals. All right, and that's the idea here. A signalman is someone who's responsible for keeping the trains safe in one way or another. And I imagine that signaling is a big part of their job and what they do. You can't just call out to the train conductor, maybe. They might be too far away to hear you. It might be too loud for them to hear you. But maybe you can use signals to communicate with trains and with the people on those trains if you happen to be a signalman. Anyways, we're going to be talking about this story called The Signalman today and tomorrow. So let's go ahead and get started right now. Let's take a short break, but then, yes, when we come back from that break, we'll start reading from The Signalman.
The Signalman. One evening, a curious traveler was walking along a hillside overlooking a railroad. He noticed a signalman, a railroad worker responsible for the safety of the trains, standing next to the tracks below. Finding his appearance interesting, the traveler called out, "Hello! Below there!" The signalman remained strangely still, ignoring him. It wasn't until the traveler called out to the signalman again that he hesitatingly responded. Soon after, the traveler descended down a path to the tracks, which led to a dark tunnel.
大家好，第一部分我们看到单字 hillside。这个字是名词，意思是山坡、山腰。例如 My dad used to stroll along the hillside near our house in the evening. 我父亲以前会在黄昏时在家附近的山坡上散步。接下来我们看到名词 signalman， 指铁路的信号员。例如 My great-grandfather was a signalman for all his life. 我的曾祖父当了一辈子的铁路信号员。再来我们看到片语 call out，表示大喊，若后面接 to somebody 就表示大声呼叫某人。举例来说 I called out to my friend as soon as I spotted him in the store. 我一发现朋友在店里时便大声叫他。另外补充一个相关片语 call out for help 表示大声呼救，像是 The boy called out for help across the room to his teacher. 男孩从房间那端向老师大声呼救。接着我们看到动词descend 指向下走、下降。例如 Martin descended the stairs into the cellar. Martin 下楼梯到地窖里去。或是 As the plane descended, passengers' ears began to pop. 飞机下降时，乘客的耳朵开始塞住了。另外，补充一个包含 descend 的片语 descend on or upon somebody or something 表示突然袭击、突然造访。像是The deer had no chance to escape once the leopard descended on it. 一旦花豹突然袭击，这只鹿就没有机会可以逃走。或是 Thousands of football fans descended on the city for the Super Bowl. 数千名足球迷为了超级杯而造访这个城市。
Okay, we're going to summarize The Signalman, or we're going to give you a synopsis of this story. That's what a synopsis is, just a summary of the story so you don't have to read it yourself. So here's what happens in The Signalman. One evening, a curious traveler was walking along a hillside overlooking a railroad. So it's a hillside or the side of a hill that is higher than what is next to it. And in this case, there's a railroad that is next to this hill. So the traveler is walking along the top of that hill, and he's overlooking that railroad. So here we've got the verb to overlook, which means you look at something when you're in a higher position. We could say that here in Taipei, Chinese Culture University on Yangmingshan overlooks Taipei. It's up there, and if you're there, you can see down into Taipei. Or if you're in Maokong, that also overlooks Taipei. Or the Guanyin statue in Geelong, that kind of overlooks Geelong City.
So above on a hill, there you are. The railroad's down below, and you were looking down at it. And you're on the hillside there. Maybe not on the top of the hill, but you are on the hillside. Anyways, we've got a curious traveler. And yes, this curious traveler is walking. And while he's walking, he noticed, it says, he noticed a signalman, a railroad worker responsible for the safety of the trains, standing next to the tracks below. So there you go. Here's our signalman, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe he has some different colored flags or something that have different symbols on them to tell the engineer in the train that the tracks are okay. You can keep on going. There's nothing blocking the tracks. It's all safe. So indeed, that's what the signalman does. He makes sure that the trains are safe and the passengers inside the trains are safe as well. And he is standing next to the tracks below. Well, finding his appearance interesting, the traveler called out, "Helloa, below there." Helloa, that's an expression I've never heard of myself before. That's probably something that they used in old days. Remember, this story came out many years ago, or perhaps it's common in England where this story takes place. But again, the traveler sees the signalman down there and thinks, hey, he's kind of an interesting guy there. Looks kind of cool. Maybe the kind of guy you'd like to go to the pub with and have a pint of ale or something with. So he calls out to him, "Hey, down there, how you doing? Hey, I'd like to chat with you."
Yeah, but the signalman, well, he didn't respond. The signalman remained strangely still, ignoring him, ignoring the traveler. I think I know what's going on. The signalman here is taking his job very seriously, so he's trying to stay alert. So maybe he's not being rude to the traveler here. Maybe he's ignoring the traveler because he's paying attention to his job. Now, do I know that for sure? No, I don't, but that could be what's going on here. Now, if we want to know for sure what's going on, we're going to have to keep reading. So let's go ahead and start reading once again. So yes, the signalman ignores the traveler, and it wasn't until the traveler called out to the signalman again that he hesitatingly responded. I.e., he did finally respond, but he acted as though he didn't want to. He did so hesitatingly, or he did so reluctantly. Yes, if you do something reluctantly, you do it, but you're dragging your heels. You don't really want to do that thing. Further, if you do something hesitatingly, you do it even though it's pretty clear that you don't want to do it at all. Now, usually if you want to do something fun, you don't hesitate. You go ahead and you do that thing right away. But let's say, oh, you've got chores that you have to do, or you've got to study, or you got homework. You don't really want to do those things, so you kind of hesitate. Maybe you play that video game for another minute or so before you actually start studying. You hesitate, or you do something hesitatingly in a situation like that. Anyways, though, it says here that the traveler called out to the signalman again. I.e., I imagine he probably said, "Hey there, below there, pay attention to me." That's what you do when you call out to someone.
Yep. Hey, how you doing? What's happening, man? Would you like to hang out or something? So he called out to the signalman, but the signalman hesitatingly responded. That's the adverb form, as you mentioned. And again, the base verb there is to hesitate, which reminds me of a time in high school when we were at the high school dance, and I really wanted to ask Mary Jane to dance, but I hesitated. I was afraid. I was kind of shy. I thought she would say no. So because I hesitated, Big Billy walked over there and asked her to dance first. and I was embarrassed. So in this particular case, though, the signalman didn't really want to respond to the traveler, but he did so. He hesitatingly responded. Okay, I'll respond to this guy because he's called out to me twice. Now, soon after, the traveler descended down a path to the tracks, which led to a dark tunnel. So the traveler was interested in the signalman. He thought, hey, I'm traveling, I'm out here hiking. Maybe I should go down there and chat with the signalman. Maybe he can tell me what it's like to work for the railways or whatever. Maybe I can hear some interesting stories. So he descended down a path. Descended is the past tense of the verb to descend, which means to go from a higher place to a lower place. So, of course, if you're in a jet flying from Taipei to, say, Hong Kong, well, eventually the plane starts to descend to prepare to land.
There you go. Now, you can also go up in a plane, okay? When you take off, you ascend. Yes, if you ascend, you go up. If you descend, you go down. So there you go. The traveler descended down a path, got to the tracks, and he saw that the tracks led to a dark tunnel. Ooh, how spooky, how interesting, how intriguing. I guess we'll have to wait to learn more about this new development for a little while, though. We have to wait just a little while to take our break, but when we come back, we'll read some more from The Signalman.
The signalman seemed scared, and the traveler asked why. I was doubtful whether I had seen you before, he replied. When the traveler asked where they could have met, the signalman pointed toward the dark tunnel. Amazed, the traveler insisted that he had never been there.
Okay, so remember so far in our synopsis for today, the signalman is working by the railway and the traveler sees him from a hillside, calls out to him. The signalman doesn't respond at first, but later he hesitatingly responds, and the traveler goes down there to have a chat with him, but at the bottom of the hill, the signalman is near a dark tunnel. So the traveler has arrived at the place where the signalman is, and the signalman seemed scared, and the traveler asked why. So, yes, the traveler noticed that the signalman kind of had a scared expression on his face. Gee, you look scared, like you saw a ghost or something. So the traveler asked him why. Why do you look so scared?
How interesting, how intriguing. First a dark tunnel and now a scared signalman. Ooh, so the signalman seemed scared. He looked that way and the traveler wanted to know why. The traveler asked why. And then the signalman said something. I was doubtful whether I had seen you before, he replied, which is kind of cryptic and kind of mysterious. Then, when the traveler asked where they could have met, the signalman pointed toward the dark tunnel. So, I thought I'd seen you before. I was doubtful as to whether I'd seen you before. And then when the traveler thought, what are you talking about? I would have known if we had met before. Where could we have met? The signalman then did something a little bit strange and pointed towards that dark, spooky tunnel. Ooh, how scary.
Kind of interesting here with the word doubtful. I think at this particular period of history, the word doubtful meant I think I actually saw you before, but nowadays doubtful means it's unlikely something's going to happen. Like I just applied to get into Harvard, but it's doubtful whether I'm going to be accepted. My grades aren't very good. I'm not very smart, so they're probably going to reject my application. It's doubtful if I'm going to get in here. So I think the signalman here means that, well, I suspect that I've seen you before. And the traveler wonders, well, where could we have met before? And the signalman then pointed toward the dark tunnel, which, of course, is where the train goes in. As you know, a tunnel is a place that you go into in order to pass under a mountain, like the Xueshan Suidao. That's the snow mountain tunnel that goes between the Taipei area and the Yilan Plain. And amazed, the traveler insisted that he had never been there. So, yes, the traveler thinks, I don't think I've ever been to this place before, and I don't think I've ever seen you before. So this is kind of weird. I'm amazed, I'm kind of surprised, and I'm kind of puzzled.
I'm also puzzled. This story is very spooky. I want to know more about what's going on, but we can't learn any more quite yet. You see, we have to take a short break, but when we come back, we will start reading once again from The Signal Man, and we'll wrap up day 1 of our lesson as well, so stay tuned.
The signal man felt reassured and invited the traveler to his signal box beside the tracks. As they engaged in friendly conversation, he performed his duties, sending and answering messages when a bell rang. At one point, the traveler noticed that he seemed frightened when the bell appeared to ring, but didn't. Eventually, the signal man admitted that something was troubling him and said he would explain if the traveler paid him another visit.
第3部分，我们看到单字 reassure 这个字是动词，指使放心，使消除疑虑。我们可以说 Ted reassured his wife that he had turned off the air conditioner before leaving. Ted 向老婆一再保证他出门前已经关掉冷气。或是 After the terrorist attack, the president gave a press conference to reassure the country. 在那起恐怖攻击之后，总统召开记者会，消除国人的疑虑。最后，我们看到片语 at one point 表示曾经在某个时间点。例如 At one point during the long drive, we decided to stop and get something to eat. 在长途开车期间，我们有一度停下来吃点东西。或是 Back at one point, Jeff never imagined himself married with children. 曾经一度 Jeff 从未想象自己会结婚生子。另外补充几个同义片语。第一 at some point 我们可以说 At some point, Megan will leave her boyfriend if he doesn't pay her enough attention. 如果 Megan 的男朋友对她不够用心，她总有一天会离开她。第二 at one time 举例来说 At one time, it was commonly believed that the earth was flat. 曾经有段时间，地球普遍被认为是平的。
Okay, so we're having a little bit of an interaction between the traveler and the signalman. So the signalman, who works for the railway, felt reassured and invited the traveler to his signal box beside the tracks. So the signalman is now convinced that he probably has not seen the traveler before. The traveler is not a ghost or a criminal or anything like that. So now he's reassured, which means you're kind of relaxed and you're not suspicious of the other person and you believe what the other person has told you. So he's reassured, he feels safe, and he thinks, well, this traveler is probably okay. How would you like to come into my signal box and we can have a little bit of a chat, or maybe I can, invite you to eat some snacks or something like that. So they go to the signal box beside the tracks, which I suppose is some kind of device or some kind of station where the signalman hangs out.
I imagine the signalman works in the signal box or works from the signal box when he's not working alongside the trains there or the train tracks. And as they engaged in friendly conversation, he performed his duties, sending and answering messages when a bell rang. Now, at one point, the traveler noticed that he seemed frightened when the bell appeared to ring, but didn't. Oh, goodness, there's another spooky detail.
Yeah, the traveler noticed that the bell seemed to ring, but there was no sound or something. And I'm imagining it was the signalman who was kind of frightened at this point, or at this point in the story when this happened. And eventually the signalman admitted that something was troubling him and said he would explain if the traveler paid him another visit. So yeah, that's how this story ends, at least so far here. Eventually, which means finally, after time passed, the signalman finally said, okay, I'll level with you. I'll tell you the truth. I'm going to admit this. Something's bothering me. Something is troubling me, and I'll explain it to you a little later if you come again, if you pay another visit. So I'm not going to tell you today. You go on with your hike or whatever, and if you come back again another day, I'll tell you the whole story.
Anyways, this is all very spooky and I want to learn more, but alas, it's time for us to say bye-bye for now, but we'll be back next time for more of The Signal Man. See you then.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny， 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始有一名好奇的旅人，他沿着那种俯瞰铁道的山坡来行走，下一句就写到 He noticed a signal man, a railroad worker responsible for the safety of the trains, standing next to the tracks below. 好，句子里面用到 a railroad worker responsible for the safety of the trains 这部分它是同位语，用来补充说明前面的名词 a signal man 信号员，来说明呢信号员是负责火车安全的铁路员工。那我们这边来学同位语的用法，同位语通常会摆在名词或是名词片语的后面来帮它做补充说明。那么同位语在句子里面呢，要用逗号跟句子隔开。举例来说 Mr. Kent, the owner of the store, is a friend of ours. 那间店的老板 Mr. Kent 是我们的一个朋友。那句子里面 the owner of the store 就是同位语，用来对他前面的名词 Mr. Kent 补充说明，说 Mr. Kent 是那间店的老板。好，那现在我们知道同位语只是用来做补充说明，那这时候我们就可以先把句子里面这个同位语先遮住不看，那我们课文句子就会变成 He noticed a signal man standing next to the tracks below. 他发现一名信号员站在下方铁轨旁。好，这边 notice 它是当感官动词，我们就顺便来整理感官动词的用法。感官动词它是指看、听、闻、感觉之类的动词，像是 see, watch, look at, notice.Listen to, hear, smell, feel 等等，用来表达透过感官所观察到的周遭人事物。那它的用法是感官动词加受词加受词补语。好，这个受词补语可以是原形动词，可以是现在分词，或者是过去分词，可是三种用法意义不同。我们先来看第一种用法，感官动词加受词加原形动词，这样的句型是表达观察到事实或是过程。举例来说 I didn't notice anyone leave this room. 我没有注意到有任何人离开这间房间，那就是在强调说没有注意到任何人离开房间的事实。第二个句型，感官动词加受词加现在分词，那这是表达说观察到动作正在进行。例如 Eric didn't hear the teacher saying his name.Eric 没有听到老师叫他的名字，那这边他是强调没有听见老师当时正在叫他。那第三个句型，感官动词加受词加过去分词，这是表达受词的被动状态。举例来说 She saw a cat stuck in the tree. 她看到一只猫被困在那棵树上。在这个例句当中，猫咪受困，这个受词跟受词补语是被动关系，所以我们就是用 PP stuck 来当受词补语咯。好，那么以上今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Hillside. We stood on the hillside and admired the view of the sea. Overlook. The couple bought a house set atop a cliff that overlooked the sea. Signalman. If the signalman falls asleep on the job, he could cause a serious train accident. Descend. The plane descended from the sky as it approached the airport. Reassure. Carla's doctor reassured her that her frequent headaches were nothing to worry about. Eventually. After losing her way, Melissa eventually found her friend's house.
Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But, as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.